Today we are going to be looking at topic 6. We're going to find the volume of prisms and cylinders. Before we do that, we need to look at what is volume. When I talk about volume, I'm talking about how much the shape can be filled. If I'm thinking about a present, it's how much is on the inside of the present. Now, volume generally is a formula on our formula sheet. So if I look at our formula sheet real quick, we will see the two boxes next to us. We are going to be looking at prisms and cylinder. So prisms, first of all these kind of have something in common. If we look real quick, the most common thing that we have is here I have a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom. And then I have a rectangle on the top of this one and a rectangle on the bottom of this one. Here I have a triangle on top and a triangle on the bottom. So when I'm looking at prisms or cylinders, I notice that I have two bases. In topic 5, we learned about finding the area of the base and the circumference of the base. So now I have two of them. And underneath are my formulas. Right now, we are going to be looking at just volume only. So these are the three formulas we're going to be using today. So let's look at some examples. The first example says a rectangular prism. So the first question I have is, what does a rectangular prism look like? This is my rectangular prism. I found this picture up above. If you look, I just wrote it out. We are going to be taking the volume of it. So let's look and see what we have. It's 7 meters tall, so that would imply that my height is 7 meters. And it's 5 feet by 3 feet. So my volume formula, which is length times width times height, I just match them up and plug them in. Length is 5 feet, width is 3 feet, and height is 7 feet. We're going to go ahead and change this to feet because we generally want them to match, and I don't think we want to do some chemistry conversions right here. Now, if I put these in my calculator and just type in 5 times 3 times 7, I get 105. So total is 105. Now I have how many feet? 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be cubed, and that's my answer. So let's look at the next example. This one starts out and says a cylindrical glass is filled with water. So let's figure out what a cylindrical or a cylinder glass is going to look like. So if I look at my picture from above, I wrote it here so we can see it while I'm doing it. I know I'm going to be looking at the volume. So when I do that, let's read the problem. If the glass has a radius of 4, so I know R equals 4, and a height of 14, and these are both centimeters, how much water can it hold when it's completely full? So let's look at that. I'm going to plug it into my formula. Volume equals pi r squared times h. I know that r is 4 and h is 14. Now here's the tricky part. Sometimes we like to add pi, because you guys see this pi is just a key on my calculator. Sometimes I like to add it and sometimes I don't. So I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in 4 squared times 14, and let's see what we get without pi. And I get 224. Now I do have units on this. These are centimeters, and it's centimeters cubed. Volume is always cubed. Now, what if they wanted a decimal in there? What would I have to do? I just have to multiply my answer by pi. Oh, that's not pi. I don't know how I missed it. Pi. And I get 703 0.72 centimeters cubed. So let's see the second half of this problem. How much water can it hold when it's half full? So I just want to take half of it. Half of 224 pi is 112 pi. And if I want to put that in my calculator again to figure out what it is, 112 pi is 351.86 centimeters cubed. So let's look at the next example. What is the volume of the following prism? So let's go back and look at which formula we're going to use. It looks like this formula, and actually if we take this triangle and we flip it over and all that good stuff. But really, when I have something like this, it's not quite as easy. I look at it and I say, well, what shape do I have two of? Because I'm looking at my volume, and my volume is big B times H. And remember that big B is area of the base. So my base is what I have two of. Well, if we look, I have one triangle and two triangles. So my big B is a triangle. And what's the area for a triangle? It's 1/2 base times height. Now don't forget, this little b means something completely different than the big B. So I'm going to look at this triangle. It's a right triangle. I know that my height of a triangle has to hit the base at a 90-degree angle. So this would be my height, and this would be my base. So the area of the triangle, which is my big B, is 1/2 16 times 12. And when I plug that into my calculator, 1/2 times 16 times 12, I get 96. So the big B in this case is 96. So my formula, which is volume equals big B times H. So far I have 96. Now I need to know what H is. Well, if I look, my height of the shape is, height is how far apart the two bases are. So if I look at the shape again, how far apart are they? They're 10 centimeters, so that's got to be my H. When I plug that in, I get 960, and my units on this are centimeters, so it's centimeters cubed. Let's look at the last example. Georgia decided to place a hot tub in her backyard in the shape of a cube. Cubes are fun things. If I look, it's kind of like the rectangular prism, so let's bring that formula over and see what we're going to be dealing with. So now that I have my formula, what's so special about a cube? Well, in a cube, my length and my width and my height are all the same. So I'm going to highlight because it's hard to see some of these colors on here. So if this is 5, then this is 5, and this is also 5. So when I plug it into my volume formula, length times width times height. So I'm going to say, okay, this time it's 5 times 5 times 5, or 125. It happens to be feet cubed. But did I answer the question? I'm really good at finding the volume, but if I look, it says if she wants to fill it 7/8 full, oh my goodness, it's not even a full hot tub. So I'm going to have to take this and I'm going to have to multiply by 7/8. And when I do that in my calculator, instead of using 7 divided by 8, I'm going to hit alpha y equals, and you can see I can put in fractions, which is kind of nice. I'm going to do 7/8, and I'm just going to multiply that by 125. And what do I get? Oh, another fraction. Well, I can turn that into a decimal, no problem. And what do I get? 109.375 feet cubed. And since it didn't really tell me how many decimal places and it kind of truncated off, I'm going to go ahead and keep it like there. So go ahead and do your practice.